Welcome to the Coaching for Leaders podcast with intuitive life coach Dave Shep. Dave pulls from his corporate experience and a bit of new age woo-woo to help you find your own personal power and step up to lead others. Listen in for help merging your physical, emotional, and spiritual life to reach your full potential and live your passion. Let's get started. Here is your host, Dave Shep.
Wow, I really like my new intro. It has a bit of cheese to it, and that's perfectly fine because that's who I am too. So, wow, I'm kind of in love with it. So, thank you very much to my friend who made it for me. I am very, very grateful. How's it going this week, guys? It is great to be here to talk to you today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. It really means a lot. I'm growing. It's really interesting to see my numbers come in on my analytics, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm like in a lot of countries, and I'm getting some frequent downloads. So I just would like to say thank you so much for all the support that you're giving me, for all the messages that I get. I've actually had some people reach out to me over the last couple of weeks, and there's been like a bit of a consistent message just about toxic people in their lives, toxic behaviors. So what I thought I'd do today is actually do a podcast on some toxic behaviors that we have within ourselves and toxic behaviors that, we definitely see in others or others kind of, force them on us. And maybe just some ideas of a way to identify them and how to handle them and what we could do. So I thought I'm just going to talk for a bit about that and see where we go from here. So I think one of the biggest toxic behaviors that I see a lot in people is kind of self-directed. And that is resisting change, staying within their comfort zone, having a routine that is just so comfortable and safe that they don't want to go outside the comfort zone. And it might be someone who's not negative, but it really does just restrict, how you live your life. And you don't do new things. You don't experience new things. You don't meet new people. You don't learn new cultures. You don't learn just different things. I mean, I've got people who they eat one type of food, and that's it. They refuse because they think, just the idea of another culture's food is horrible, and I don't get that. Not at all. I mean, there's so many things that when you step outside your comfort zone are comfortable. Whether it's watching a new TV show, whether it's going out into the world, traveling, new way to watch sports, play sports, new things to do out in nature. There's just so many things. So if you find yourself in your comfort zone, or if you have someone in your life that just never tries any kind of new experiences, that is a toxic behavior, and it's something that should be addressed and looked at, and see if there's things that you can do to overcome that. I know when I coach someone, that's my big thing. Like, when I go through my qualifying process to see if someone's coachable and if we're a good fit, is I reach in and I push you outside your comfort zone, and I'll drag you kicking and screaming. And I have. But that's what makes me a good coach, and that's what makes a good client, is when someone is like, damn it, Dave, I don't want to do that. But, you do it. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, I'm really glad I did that. So my voice cracked there for some reason. What the hell? So it's just stuff like that I think is good. Another one that I think is a toxic behavior that you see in people and you see in yourselves. And this, these two things that I'm now talking about, these really aren't directly like harmful to you. Like it's no one getting in your face. And ruining your life for certain things, but they do have an impact on your life in subtle ways. So the second one I'd like to talk about today is just grieving. Dealing with someone who has passed, We lose people in our lives all the time. It's part of life. We're born dying. We're all going to die. That's one thing that we all have in common. There's no way around it. And we can celebrate a person's life and that they were in our life, or we can completely lose ourselves in our grief and lose ourselves in our loss. We stay stuck. We refuse to move on. We refuse to let go of that person, place or thing. It could be a job. It could be anything that you grieve for. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person, but if you're stuck somewhere in the past and you're stuck in a state of sadness because you can't move forward on your life path, then that is a toxic behavior. And that's something that I'd really like you to consider and to think about. One of the other horrible toxic behaviors that I deal with a lot, and I used to be so guilty of this, but this is just ignoring self-care. I would not take care of myself. All I ever did was take care of other people. That was my mission. That's all I wanted to do. I was too busy. I was, too, whatever my excuse was. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't eat well. I didn't sleep well. I didn't do things that were for enjoyment for me. I mean, I know of a couple of years out of my life where I was so dedicated to people who I thought were incredible because they promised all these wonderful things. And in the end, it did not end up working out. But during that time that I thought it would, I didn't take care of myself. I devoted everything to them. And it was a valuable lesson for me. It will always be one of the most valuable lessons that I ever had in my life. And I have no regrets that I went through it because it was so painful, because I had to pick myself up off the pavement at the end. But it was something that was so incredibly valuable to me that it shaped me into the person that I am today. And I love the person I am today. So that right there is just like, it was worth it. It was worth all of that pain, all of that loss of self to be who I am today. So who I am today is someone that really does do self-care. I get massages. I get healing treatments. I take care of myself. I go into nature. I love working out. I love preparing meals just for me. I love going to the movies by myself. I love doing things that are just for me, reading books, learning new things. And it's an incredible state of mind to where I put myself first and I respect myself. So if you don't respect yourself, if you don't do any kind of self-care, if you don't have any boundaries, that is a toxic behavior that you need to identify within yourself and within the people who are close to you. Another toxic behavior that I like to talk about is just not speaking up, not speaking your truth. It's one of those things where if you see somebody who's in harm's way and you pull out your phone to record it, you're an asshole. If you see someone in harm's way, you stop it. You help. You get in there and you help. But if you don't speak up, if you don't speak out for something, or if you don't act, that is a toxic behavior. But it also comes to terms with not speaking out for people who are harmful to you. If someone is harmful to you, find your personal power and step up. Say, this is making me uncomfortable, or, hey, you're a rude bitch, shut the fuck up. Whatever you have to say, but speak up, because you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. If you're not treating yourself with dignity and respect, you need to do that. Okay. I mean, you need to find a way. You need to find a coach. You need to find a class of training, something. You need to talk to somebody, but speak your truth. Be kind to yourself. If you're one of those that just keeps everything in, and then you get depressed, or people like that. If you have someone in your life that you love and you see that they don't speak out and that everybody takes advantage of them, work with them, help them. Help them to understand that they are valuable, that you are valuable. And it's just an incredible way to make sure that you do respect yourself. Another thing I want to talk about is, and this is a big one for me, I'll be honest, because I say part of it's work, but I know it's not, is definitely just technology, too much technology, always on your phone, always on the computer, always connected. I'm one of those that I always like to be connected to God, spirit, and the universe, but I don't like to be connected to my cell phone and my computer. I get people who are like, "You didn't answer my call," and I'm now like, "Yeah, well, it's because my phone is for my convenience, not yours." And that's the truth. I don't answer the text messages right away. I don't answer emails right away. It's when I have time, I will. And I've been very guilty of letting it control me in the past. I've gotten so much better at it. There's a Google Chrome extension called Newsfeed Eradicator. Now, that is not a sponsor, but I tell you, it saves me so much time and productivity, because when I go to YouTube and Facebook, I need them for work, so I use them for my business. And so I need to be able to look up things and do things and check on things. So Newsfeed Eradicator makes it to where I can use all those features, but the newsfeed is gone, so I don't get distracted by videos or politics or anything that is on my feed. So it just shows up as just a blank screen on Facebook where I can go into the search and search things or check certain things that I need. Same thing with YouTube. I can look up certain videos, and it's an amazing feature. So overusing technology is definitely a toxic behavior. One thing that I recommend to my clients is 1 hour before bedtime, just disconnect everything. Don't, people like to watch TV or look at their computer screens. You got that blue light, I usually, I have, my monitors are all set for the evening. So like at 7 PM, everything turns yellow. So it kind of gets rid of that blue light. Same thing for my TV, same thing for my phone, but also I have a pair of those blue blocking glasses, that I use at night. And it just helps make sure that, I'm able to go to bed. But what I like to do is about an hour before bed is I like to unplug, sit and I'll meditate. I'll talk to my husband. I will read, just different things, but things that are just calming, so that I do my nightly rituals of my gratitude practices, take meds, all these kind of things. So it's just something that I like to do, and it helps you overcome that toxic behavior of technology. Another toxic behavior, just to identify either within yourself or within others, is worrying about the future. If you can't function because you're so worried about the future, you're so worried about things that you cannot directly affect, if you're worried about things going on in the world, if you have anxiety over things that you directly cannot impact, if you stop having goals and dreams and plans and you stop having hope because you're worried about the future, that is a toxic behavior. It's kind of along the lines of reliving the past. You have negative emotions because you had a hard childhood. You had negative emotions because of any kind of past event, and you keep reliving them. And because you're reliving them, you're so worried about the future that you're either going to repeat these mistakes, or you're going to pass these mistakes on to your kids, or you just can't forgive yourself for something that you did, or you're constantly living in those negative emotions. That is a toxic behavior, and you need to be able to identify it. You need to be able to self-identify. I work with people about letting go of the past, forgiving themselves, moving on, about building hope for the future. It's something that I'm really good at. And I can say that every client that I've had in the last 2 years has come to me. We've had these issues. We've had these issues where they made mistakes in their 20s, or they made mistakes in their teens, and they just can't get over it. They hurt somebody, and they're like, what do I do? Why I don't know how to get past this. Well, you get past this by forgiving yourself. You also get past it from learning the lesson and saying, I'm not going to do it again. I've been on a big wisdom kick lately. Like, what is wisdom? How does it work? How do you measure it? And I've been doing some good research on it, because I want to do a future podcast episode on it. And I want to maybe create some material and some training programs for wisdom, because I think it's that important that you shouldn't have to wait till you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s to get wisdom. Because when you're in your 20s and you have wisdom, it sets life apart from normal everyday life. So what I try to do is when I work with people and they are younger than me, I impart my wisdom on them so that they have it, so that they understand. Most of the times I work with people who are much smarter than I am, but I have a lot of wisdom and I'm very strong with wisdom. So when I add that to their skills, we make an unstoppable team. And that's what a coach is. A coach is your teammate. So look for a coach that you can work with if you want to change any of these behaviors, because I guarantee when it's you and your coach against the world, things become pretty incredible. Another toxic behavior that we have within ourselves at times that we really don't identify is just taking things personally. Somebody says or does an unkind act, and sometimes they're directed at us, but sometimes they're not, and we think that they are. And we assume that the person is either angry or annoyed or not pleased with us. And then we go down this dark path of, well, what did we do? Why don't we have the respect? And then it decreases your own sense of self-worth. And a lot of times it's just a miscommunication, or you're just giving up your power to them. Somebody says something mean about me, I can give a rat's ass. They don't pay my bills. They don't come into my life. They don't do things for me. Somebody sends me a nasty message or somebody says something about me, I could care less. That is because I'm comfortable with who I am. I know I do good things. I know I do bad things. That's the same thing. I embrace my shadow self. I embrace the darkness within me. I know I can be a dick, but that's okay because I choose not to be. That's what makes me special. That's what makes me caring. That's what makes me the gift to the world that I always tell people I am. And it just comes down to the fact of, don't take things personally. If anybody says anything to you, so what? If you let someone's words or comments on your social media page or whatever ruin your day, you have a very, very toxic behavior that you take things personally. I work in the bodybuilding and fitness industry for the last 5-6 years. And I tell you, you look at somebody and you think, wow, they have it all. They got looks, they got the body, they got the career. And I don't think I've ever met a more group of insecure people in my life, because they worry so much about being perfect. They worry so much about what other people think of them. There's no such thing as perfect. Yet you stand up there in these competitions, and you're being judged. And it takes a toll on your ego. It takes a toll on your self-worth, your self-esteem. And you could have an absolutely wonderful, healthy body, but you decide to pump it full of stupid-ass drugs to get bigger, to look a certain way. Or you might have one little insignificant area to 99% of the world. But because these 4 judges at a table say that you're not going to win a competition because you have this, you focus on that. And that's all you're focused on, because you want to be perfect. I don't want you to be perfect. I want you to understand that you're unique and you're wonderful. That is a toxic behavior, to feel that you have to be perfect and that you take things personally like that. So please feel that behavior, feel how wrong that is, because you're not perfect. You're not going to be. You're going to make mistakes. It's fine. You're unique. You are your own gift to the world. Another toxic behavior, and again, I'm the reason I have this is because I was writing down. I was like, well, how did I used to be? But yeah, this was definitely me. But people pleaser. I used to be such a huge people pleaser. I thought that people would not like me unless I bent over backwards to help them, give them the shirt off my back, do things for them, put their needs and desires ahead of my own, because I was so insecure with who I am. And what it did is it made people comfortable taking advantage of me. And then I ended up resenting them because they took advantage of me. But it wasn't them. It was me. It was me saying yes, 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 yes to everything. And then being exhausted because I couldn't say no. And if you are a people pleaser, if you have problems with boundaries, if you have problems saying no, please, please, please do some self-work. Do some work on that. If you have problems with any of the things that I'm talking about, DM me, message me on any of my social media, and I'll help. I mean, I answer every message I get. I answer because it's that important, and I want to help as much as I can. But again, I do it within boundaries. So I because I do respect myself, I have boundaries. Another thing that's a toxic behavior is just participating in other people's drama. I get some clients sometimes, and I usually do a pretty good job of qualifying my clients before I work with them. Like I'll have a conversation with them on Zoom or on the phone, or I'll meet with them in person, and I kind of can tell if I'm going to get along with somebody. I can tell if someone's coachable, and it works out pretty well. I have usually pretty good success, but there are times where people slip by me and they put on this brave front, and you meet them and all this, and all of a sudden you get into the nitty gritty, and then they love drama. And drama is just something that it's like they starve for it, and it gives them energy, it gives them attention. Because if they don't have other people's drama, if they don't have their own drama in their life, they feel like they're going to not be seen. So drama is very important because they got to bring up the drama of all their pain in their past, of everybody who's hurt them, or they like going around saying, "Well, I'm just not a good person," but I love everybody else. I'm going to help everybody else. No, you're dramatic. I, and especially with family members, like if you're dramatic and something happens in your family and you feel more affected by the actual person that's affected, you're just a fucking drama queen. Cut that shit out, man. It is just, it's stupid. You're pouring more fuel on the fire instead of being a calming influence to those who need you. The way that you battle drama is you just become the calming influence. You remain composed. You let go of all of that attention-seeking stuff, and you stop participating in it. Another thing with drama is kind of a drama, but you're just comparing yourself to others. A lot of people are really dramatic because they like to compare themselves to others. I can't do this because this person is much more successful at it, and I'm never going to be successful, so I'm not even going to try. That's such a pussy excuse. There, of all the toxic behaviors, I think that one's the worst in a lot of ways when it's directed at yourself, because it basically means that you're giving up before you even tried. I'm not going to go on a diet. I'm not going to lose weight because I'm not going to look good as this person who wears this type of shirt. I'm not going to try to generate income or build abundance in my life because other people are richer and they have all the money. I don't want to have these experiences in life because this person has already done it and I don't want to copy them. Instead of being thankful for everything that you've been blessed with, thankful for all of your gifts, thankful for your uniqueness, you're simply comparing yourselves to others because you're a coward. Stop it. Stop doing that. And that's exactly what it is. It's just that cowardly behavior of, I can't do it because other people did it better. I can't do it because this person is. I can't walk in their shoes because, they're big shoes to fill. Screw that. Get a new pair of shoes. You can do it. You are so unique and so wonderful. And there's so many good things about you. If you have any way right now to look into a mirror, whether you're driving in your car or look in your phone camera, whatever, look at yourself. You are special. You are unique. You are incredible. And you deserve so much happiness. And if you don't see that, again, reach out to me. Please reach out to me. This just goes into that another toxic behavior is just negative self-talk. When you're when your inner critic and your self-talk, your self-voice that you're with 24/7 is the biggest villain in your life. When you look in the mirror and you just say, well, geez, you're nothing but a fuck up. When you look in the mirror and you're just like, wow, you're worthless. That is the number one villain in your life. And it's part of my signature program that I released this year. Is the very first part of that. And it's quieting that inner voice, quieting that negative self-talk. Because how you speak about yourself to yourself has a very, very strong influence of how you feel, of what you do. But if you believe that you're putting limits on yourself because you believe the worst is going to happen, because you think you're a failure, because you think you're ugly, because you think all of these horrible things about yourself, you're just going to end up in a downward spiral, and you're never going to have any kind of experiences or expectations or anything useful to contribute. So we shut that voice down. And I am very good at figuring that out and very good at helping you, showing you who you really are. And if you don't want to work with a coach and you want to figure all this out yourself, Google it, YouTube it, go to Udemy, get a class, do whatever you've got to do to help shut down negative talk, but do it. See someone, talk to someone, get a counselor, whatever your comfort level is, whatever it is that you want to do, just work on shutting down that negative talk. Because a lot of times it's just some form of you're seeking some kind of validation from other people, which is another toxic behavior. You like playing the victim. Oh, God, playing victim's worst toxic behavior ever. I mean, it's like the victimhood mindset is such a joke. And people do it without realizing that they're doing it. And we've all done it in some degree. I've done it. I totally have. I am totally guilty to where I thought that if I saw myself as a victim, if I portrayed myself as a victim, that I'd get special attention, special behavior, that people would love me because I was just a fucking victim. Turns out I was just a whiny bitch. So I want you to think about that. Stop trying to get attention by playing the victim. Stop trying to seek validation of others by being the victim. If you're seeking validation of others, then you're being reliant on other people to make you happy. If you're constantly looking for someone else's reassurance or approval or validation, then you're not ever going to find the peace with who you are. Instead, you need to realize that you matter, that your opinions matter, that you are special. No one else can give you any kind of self-assurance or reassurance or confidence. Only you can. I promise you that when you realize this, your life will dramatically change for the better. Another toxic behavior that we have in ourselves or that we might have in others close to us is just judgment. Judgment and expectations. It is a hard one. You have parents, they care for you, but they judge you. They judge your way of life. They have expectations. You need to grow up, go to college, get a good job, do all this kind of stuff. But maybe that's not you. Maybe you want to do something different. Maybe you want to live your own life. And then when you try to live your own life, you're judged. And you're told that, no, you can't do that. Or no, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough, whatever. And then if you're judging others that way, if you're putting your judgment on other people, if you can't accept them for who you are, you're just as bad. So stop that. Every one of us deserves to be who we are. So we shouldn't judge others. I'm one of the, I always have been, and this is a good thing. I do not judge others because I've made so many mistakes in my life. I've made so many dumbass decisions. I've hurt people. I've done all these horrible things growing up that I was just too stupid not to. I was a dumbass teenager. I was a dumbass guy in my 20s. Of all these things, because I was not wise. I did not have a mentor. I did not have a coach. I did not have any kind of guidance that was within my life saying, no, don't do this. Or the one person or two people that I did have, I didn't respect them because I was an asshole. So it's just things like that I judge people. I let people judge me. I had expectations. I had expectations of others, and they were unrealistic. So when you lose expectations, when you lose that judgment of others, it is very, very healthy. And I just want you to think about that, because if you have anybody in your life who's judging you or has expectations, it's a toxic behavior. Being stubborn, that's part of it. You're just very stubborn. I have people who are like, they're like, Dave, you're very stubborn. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. I have boundaries. I have respect for myself. I'm not stubborn. Stubborn is when it's just, you have a very chaotic and unpredictable workplace or world or whatever, and you're just inflexible. You refuse to change. You refuse to do things because you're being stubborn. And it's the things that you're being stubborn about is inhibiting your growth. So I'm stubborn about things that hurt my growth. There's a difference. So I want you to be aware of this. I want you to be totally stubborn and inflexible for people who are trying to disrespect you or make you feel worthless or make you feel like you aren't good enough. But when it comes to somebody in your life who is trying to help you or to show you a different path or show you something better, don't be so stubborn and don't be so inflexible. Try new things. Look at different views, different opinions. It's okay that you have a best friend who has different political beliefs than you do. You can still be friends. There's still more to you and more to that person than politics. You can connect on a deeper level and still respect each other's opinions. You may not agree with them. So what? We don't have to agree. But when you love somebody who's different than you are, it just makes the world a better place. Another toxic behavior is the blame game. Blaming other people. It's not my fault because ... And boy, that just sucks. I can't even tell you how sucky that is when I dealt with that a lot in my careers. It was not my fault, not my fault. This was the customer. This was my coworker. This was my mom. This was my sister. All these things. It's their fault. Well, the dog knocked the food out of my hand, so I dropped it all over the floor. Well, you should have been paying attention. It wasn't the dog's fault. The dog's doing what it does. You simply weren't holding it. It's your fault. You dropped it. Just different things like that stop blaming. Things don't always turn out the way you want them to, but when things fall apart, don't blame others. Accept the responsibility, because that is the measure of a good person, of someone who is incredible and full of growth, and they care for themselves because they say, you know what, I messed up. I don't blame anybody for my life because I'm the one that made the choices. I made good choices and I made bad choices. But if I would have sit around and played the blame game, it would not work out. My life would not work out. I would not be as happy as I am right now. Another thing is, another toxic behavior to look at within yourself or within others is insincerity. I had a conversation this week because I'm as you can tell, I'm very blunt and I just say it like it is. I don't hold back. I don't filter. But I say things with respect. And it just comes down to, when you're insincere about something, I tell people if they're doing well, I tell people if they suck. I'm not going to be insincere. Someone is an artist and they're looking at me and they're like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, I think it's amazing. The art that you've created is something that is beautiful that I would buy. And they're like, oh, you're just saying that. No, I'm not. Because if it sucked, I would tell you. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm never going to be insincere because I don't want you being insincere to me. It's just, that's the truth in a lot of ways. If you're doing a great job, I'm going to tell you that you are. I'm never going to be insincere so that you wonder if I'm just making you or trying to make you feel good or trying to deceive you in any way. I'm going to act with integrity. I'm going to act with honesty, and I'm going to act with sincerity so that I can attract the same kind of people in my life. Because if my podcast sucks, I want somebody to call me and say, hey, your podcast sucks. I prefer that over, oh, it's good. Just freaking tell me, and then I'll evaluate it and figure out if enough people say it, I'll be like, okay, so I need to either tone it down, pull it in, change direction, whatever. But I'm going to listen because I trust the people in my life that they're being sincere to me. That's all. I'm still going to make my own choices, my own decisions, but I'm going to listen. Another toxic behavior that we experience at times is holding a grudge. I think Scorpios are famous for this. Because I've known a couple of Scorpios and they hold grudges. So it's just one of those things, man. You can hold a grudge, you can hold it against them for a prolonged, long period of time. You can have that anger. You can not forgive them, for the harm that's either caused or imagined or whatever. If you want to carry that for the rest of your life, it's just going to weigh heavy on you, and it's just going to take so much energy. But if you can offer forgiveness, it's not for them, it's for you. And I need you to realize that. I think probably the next couple of final pieces I'd like to leave you with is, another toxic behavior is jealousy. When you feel jealous, when you believe that something that you have is only good because somebody else has it, or you resent someone for having it, and you can't manifest it into your life and you can't bring it in unless you deny them access to it. That's just jealousy. And what you're not realizing is there's so much abundance in the world. There's so many good things. But if you have jealousy, if you're jealous of if you have someone that you love and you have jealous behavior because you think they're going to go out and cheat on you, you're literally manifesting that. Instead of just loving someone and saying, hey, I trust you. I'm not going to be jealous. I'm not jealous of what you have. I'm not jealous of your friends. I'm not jealous of what you do. Trust their actions. If this person hasn't lied to you, if they haven't cheated, if they haven't done other things, why be jealous? But also a coworker. If a coworker gets a promotion, don't be jealous of the coworker. Be excited for them, because it just means that it wasn't right for you at this time in your life. And unanswered prayers are pretty special. So if you didn't get that promotion, but somebody else did, then what else is out there waiting for you that's going to be better than you imagined? That's the mentality that you should really, really embrace. And I think the last toxic behavior that I want to talk about today is just that sense of entitlement. When you go through life and you feel like you're owed something because you have a deficiency. You're like, other people are luckier because they have so much, so I deserve that. And I call bullshit on that. You're not entitled to nothing. You really aren't. You got to work for it. You got to have the skills. You got to have the demeanor. You got to have the self-love. You got to have the self-respect. You can get so much in life through charisma. You can get so much in life through kindness. You can get so much in life through just being a good person and working hard and doing the hard work so that you can change your community, change the culture in the world, change the things that you want to change. But if you feel like you're entitled and it should automatically happen, no, you fight for yourself. You stand up for yourself. You do the work. Lose that sense of entitlement. So that was a pretty busy, active list today. So sorry I kept you, I went off on a couple of rants there. I do apologize. But I just truly believe in these things, that we need to identify these toxic behaviors. We need to remove them. If you feel like you have 5 or more of these toxic behaviors in your life, reach out. I'll help. Okay. I'm really good at it. I'm good at recognizing it, and I'm good at putting a stop to it. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Coaching for Leaders podcast with Dave Shep. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you like the show, leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you know someone searching for their life purpose, be sure to tell them about the show. Find Dave at facebook.com/Dave Shep Consult and on Instagram at Dave Shep Consulting, or visit the website at www.daveshepconsulting.com.